Well, let's go to Edo State, where Governor Godwin Obaseki is standing by for us today. The governor hosted the yearly economy summit, the Alaudaro Summit in Benin City, and a bid to improve in the economy of the state. Governor Godwin Obaseki is live with us from Benin City, the Edo State capital. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight on the program. In your first term, in your second term, when you assumed office for your second term, you made several promises, largely about what you would do for the people of Edo State. But let's first and foremost get a summary of today's summit, the yearly Alagodaro Summit. What is the crux of this summit? What is it meant to achieve today?
Thank you very much, Shehu, and thank you for the support you've always given us on Alarodaro. Basically, Alarodaro is an investment summit we hold annually on the anniversary of our coming into office, which is November 12th. But because it falls on a Saturday, we decided to hold it today. At these summits, since we started holding them 6 years ago, we've tried to think through what the economic policies of our state should be, how to attract investments, what our priorities are, and all of this is to grow our economy and provide goods and services for our people. In summary, today we looked at the opportunities in the light of all the challenges we have as a country. We said, despite the challenges we face as a nation today, one fact that remains is that the over 200 million people in Nigeria are not going to disappear. They will still need to consume goods and services. And to the extent that we are not able to earn foreign exchange to the level we expect to, we need to now begin to produce more locally to satisfy our consumption. And manufacturers, producers of goods and services will go to states or locations where they find favorable climates to undertake their economic activities. And so for us in Edo, we want to place Edo State as one of those hubs where people can come in and produce goods and services at a reasonable rate. We looked at the endowments we have and looked at the areas that we as a state are focusing on, and we try to let the world know that the greatest advantage we have today in Edo State is that we are one of the cheapest and most reliable sources of electricity. Edo State today generates in excess of 1,000 megawatts of power. And since that power can't be put on the grid for use nationally, we're trying to attract investments to come into Edo State and use the power here and distribute their goods and services from Edo State.
Interesting. So this is an investment summit, and the opposition has criticized that it's a yearly hollow gathering that brings no result. So let's ask you, what result has this summit brought to the people of Edo State? Is it worth the organization and the timing, or the time that is being put into it?
Unfortunately, when you have economic illiterates as opposition, then they can't understand what you are doing. They can't even grasp the benefits of what we are doing as a government. If you were at the event today, more than 50% of the participants are investors who are currently undertaking one form of investment or the other in Edo State. Since we started Alagodaro, we can proudly say that we've brought almost $1 billion worth of fresh investments into Edo. Today, we have people who have invested in independent power. As we speak, my office, the studios I'm speaking from, is powered by an IPP plant. We've allocated and we have investors who currently are preparing farming estates for oil palm. We have allocated in excess of 63,000 hectares of land for oil palm. It's one of the biggest agricultural projects on the continent today. We continue to invest in education, and the world, it's out there. If they can read and go to websites of places like the World Bank, they can see the amount of progress which Edo has made and the kind of acclaim that Edo is receiving from the international community. So, it's unfortunate the way they understand the economy is different from what is happening. The people of Edo are feeling the impact of Alaa Udaro. You can't find, today you could not find a seat on any aircraft coming into Benin. You cannot find, rooms in hotels in Edo State today. So, all of these are indicators of the kind of growth. People can't be coming into our state if they don't find something, if they're not looking for opportunities, or if they don't have opportunities they're exploring already. So the benefits are very clear and visible for those who can see, but those who still believe that there's, they want to still fiddle with the treasury and take money out of the treasury and understand the economy only from the perspective of government spending, they cannot see the opportunities we are creating.
So let's look at some of the benefits. On a day like this, you also promised to raise the internally generated revenue of the state to about 60 billion. That might be like a tall order as far as the present economic realities, not only in Nigeria, globally, is concerned. I think you met about slightly over $1 billion IGR in 2016 when you assumed office. It grew in 2 years to over 2 billion. But give us an understanding, because a lot of people will want to know how you want to take it to 60 billion. Where will it be coming from? What sector are you growing? In specific and practical terms, how are you achieving this?
First, we are going to close this year with IGR slightly above 40 billion. And growing IGR by about 50% next year shouldn't be a problem, because what we have done is to make the collection process a lot more efficient. We're getting more people into the tax bracket. We are making payment of taxes much easier. We've deployed a lot of technology and a lot of data. We have mapped our cities. We have done massive enumeration. Currently, we have only about 150,000 taxpayers in a population of about 5 million. It tells you the opportunities that exist. We are looking at specific areas in terms of land reforms. We are currently reforming land. We are issuing CFOs within 30 days for under 100,000 naira. We are encouraging more small-scale businesses, SMEs. We're providing financing. We are providing access to markets. So in a nutshell, we begin to see the underlying business activities that are taking place in the state, and we're persuading our citizens to just pay something, at least minimal tax, and it's just, so for us, it's a game of numbers. If we're able to double the amount of people in our tax bracket today, we clearly will do much more than the anticipated 60 billion naira.
So, how does this benefit? Because it's not only collecting these monies. I mean, it has to mean something, because you are also taking from the people of Edo State and the residents and the workers and the companies who are working and putting this money into the Edo State economy. But it's not only for the government to have the ability to collect, it's also to be able to utilize this money for the benefit of the Edo people. In practical terms, if you can also tell us, how does this benefit the average Edo man?
Okay.
Who is on the street, who is looking for how his daily bread can be well buttered? How is an Edo man better than last year in terms of the food on their tables?
Okay. For us, every kobo we collect from taxes go into capital expenditure. Not one kobo of taxes go into any other thing and to recurrent expenditure. So what that means is that we're able to build more roads, we're able to build more schools, furnish classrooms, We're able to create more opportunities for work. We're able to create the enabling environment for more businesses to come and locate. All the things government should do, providing that enabling environment. We then have the capacity to do more. And to the extent that we can provide more equipment to protect our citizens, have better security, we can provide more roads. The amount of requests we have today from citizens, from communities, for just to be connected to by roads is unbelievable. I mean, it would take years for government to satisfy those requests. As we speak, we are positioning the state to be the smartest state in terms of ICT in the country. Today, Edo State has about 1,200 kilometers of fiber connections across the 18 local governments. We need to have much more penetration so that people have the infrastructure to do their businesses and to do their work. All of these are investments government needs to make, and these investments will be made, are being made from the taxes citizens pay.
So I was trying to get you to speak to specific on what you have put on the ground and how the lives of the people have been better. You've just given us a generic information about what you hope that this will do. But in specific terms, how many roads have you done? How is that road better? Is there a food inflation that is down? Or what?
Yes,
in what area is food cheaper in your state compared to other states?
Yes, clearly, I mean, Edo has always had that advantage as a food basket, but the challenge has been access to, to the farms, access to the farm gate to evacuate products. In terms of the kilometers of roads we're constructing next year, all of that will be revealed in the budget I'm presenting to Parliament on Wednesday. But specifically, what we have decided, what we're doing in terms of actual returns, I can tell you that we are growing our road network on an annual basis by over 25%. We are today connecting all local governments through our own network of our interstate roads. You know that we've had challenges with the federal roads in Edo State, and that has put pressure on us as a state government to build roads connecting our local governments. This is how we are spending money, and these are the specific investments government is making.
Okay, let me go into one area you promised the people of Edo State. From 2016, it was boldly written at the Ring Road. You had a banner there in 2016 where you said 200,000 jobs, part of your campaign promise as at the time. About a year or two, before the next election, you said you have done over 150,000. There were debates on how true the fact that you were reeling out and where those jobs were, because the opposition said at the time that the jobs you were talking about cannot be found by the people. They're wondering whether those jobs only existed in the air. How much of those jobs and how much of those promises have you been able to meet in terms of job creation, and in what sector?
We have today on record verifiable numbers. We've created, as of today, over 230,000 jobs for young people. And these sectors are, the sectors we've talked about are technology, agriculture, industry, services, entertainment. Last year or 2 years ago, Business Day undertook an independent survey, an independent analysis. And at that point, they confirmed on their own from the work they did and the data they collected that we had created about 157,000 jobs. That was about 3 years ago, just immediately after COVID. So that was an independent survey, independently conducted then. Since then, we have continued to improve because we have an agency called Edo Jobs, Edo Skills Development Agency. And what they do there is to identify the needs of employers and then they have programs where you look for young people, men and women, and they train them, give them employability skills, they train them, they give them life skills. Today, from our production hub, we have young people who are manufacturing and in the leather industry, in the cloth-making industry, in metalworks, in environmental services. From our innovation hub, they are, we have relationships with every major technology company in the world, whether it's Google, Google, Amazon, a whole range of technology providers are now hiring, hiring people we have trained in Edo State to work for them, and they pay them, to program and create services and offer services to them while living in Edo. We have a lot of joint ventures. We signed a lot of MOUs, joint ventures with tech companies. Today, we have a tech park, a temporary tech park, where we have trained a third cohort, over 300 young men and women, and all of them are fully engaged. I can go on and on. We're working with the IOM. We have 7 job centers, about 5 rural ones, which we opened, and young people just stream in. We're encouraging them to come in, helping them prepare their CVs, and placing them in jobs across the state and also across the country. In health services, we've accredited our nursing schools. We're training nurses. We're training, because we know a lot of young people want to travel. And we're not too bothered about that. We want to give them skills. We want to give them opportunities, so when they travel, they are able to get placement and jobs. But we can...
before I leave the area of the economy to some other issues, I'd like to ask you, because you've been very critical about the federal government's handling of the economy. At some point, you said they were printing the Naira for ulterior motives. You criticized the printing of the currency, which you criticized. Now, for those who believe, who do not agree with you, there are also comments that your allegations of money printing is unverifiable. And those who have criticized you about the redesigning of the Naira said, in fact, that there is nothing wrong with redesigning of the Naira, and they have attacked your criticism on the redesigning of the Naira. Have you reviewed your comments and your views about the handling of the economy by the Buhari government, which, of course, you are a very good friend of that government in the early years, but now it seems you hold a different view. Do you still think that the Buhari government is mishandling the economy, as you have always held the view?
Shehu, facts are facts. And what I've always done is to state the facts as I see them and as they are. The fact today is that even the authorities, the monetary authorities themselves, have admitted that they print money, that we create money that's not substantiated by by productivity. So I don't think anybody's in doubt that that is the situation. I guess the issue for us today is what should be our priorities? What should we be doing in a very difficult and challenging world today? Where should be the focus? Should it not be about encouraging economic growth? Why have we, over the last several years, not been able to design or undertake economic policy design that's able to lift more people out of poverty? Why, what have we, what have we been doing in terms of our economic design that has created more challenges, more problems, and more, and has made over 90 million Nigerians slip into poverty? This year alone, I was reading a report, and this year alone, we will end up having more than 50% of our people living, living below poverty lines. I guess for us, those should be the areas of interest and focus. Redesigning the currency, for me, should not be our priority, because even the cost of printing new notes is humongous. Nobody has told us how much they're spending. I mean, in a country that is starved of foreign exchange, should that be our priority today? Those, for me, are the issues. I believe that our economy is challenged. We've never had things as hard and as tough and difficult as they are. I mean, look at how many people have been affected by floods. Over 5 million people were snookered underwater. Look at our major, irrigated areas for agriculture, the banks, the land bordering the River Niger and Benue. And all that productivity has been washed away by floods. Should, our priority today be printing new denominations of currency? Shouldn't our priority be, to see how we can get more support, get more resources to help these, to help more productivity?
Right. Governor Obaseki, yeah. So apologies, let me chip in because we're due for a break now, but we'll still continue. But just in about 40 seconds before we go on a break, President Buhari, in responding to whether or not there was an approval for the redesigning of the Naira, had said that the CBN had convinced him about the economy and how it would benefit from the redesigning of the Naira. And this is what he responded by saying that people with illicit money buried under the soil will have a challenge with this. I mean, I hope that's not referring to, I mean, it does look like anybody who is not happy with that perhaps has this, and perhaps the reason why the CBN is moving on redesigning the Naira.
It's a joke. I mean, what are we talking about? Money supply is in excess of 40 trillion naira. Cash, the cash component is about 3 trillion naira. And you're saying only about 1.7, about a third of that is within the banking system. And so tell me how less than 6% of money supply will make the kind of difference, which they are anticipating. And in any case, why did money leave the banking system? I mean, it's as a result of poor infrastructure. And whatever they print as new notes are also going to leave the system. As long as you do not focus on the things, on the reasons and factors why people will rather keep cash at home and money at home, then it looks like you're chasing shadows. As far as I'm concerned, that should not be a priority at this time in a country with the kind of hardships that people are facing.
Your Excellency, just in 30 seconds, I mean, you've spoken about your feeling about the way manner the economy is being handled under the Buhari government. But I'd like to ask you, what would you do differently if you have the opportunity to run this economy on the federal level? What, in specifics, if you can give your view on how the economy can be run better, and what will it cost you, and where will the money come from?
Firstly, we have to focus on growth. Where will the money come from? Remove subsidies. Because who are you subsidizing with 6 trillion naira every year? You are subsidizing fuel. You are subsidizing foreign exchange. Between these two subsidies, you'd have enough, have revenues to now focus on areas where you can create growth. You cannot have a market that is selling a product at 800 naira and you are selling that same product at 400 naira. The arbitrage is just too huge. I mean, that is revenues that should have been coming into the coffers of government for development and for growth activities in the economy.
So, because I still have a follow-up on that, but let me move into, because we need to wrap up and go to another issue. Let me ask you, did you refuse the Labour Party the venue in which they plan to hold their rally in Benin City today?
Well, there are several venues in Benin for rallies. I heard that they applied on the 9th, on Wednesday night, to hold a rally at the Samuel Ogbomudia Stadium on Friday morning, giving us 1 day notice. The tracks and for that stadium are still under warranty. The pitch has to be maintained in a certain mode. So it's just not another facility you just can go in and use without preparing. If they knew they had a rally on Friday 11th, why couldn't they give more time and more notice so that we give them the conditions under which they can use the pitch? The same thing we did to PDP when they wanted to use the pitch. And the only reason why we allowed the PDP rally was because it was also used as an opportunity to commission that facility. Otherwise, most other rallies are held in other large grounds around the city. So I think I expected more from the Labour Party. I thought they were more serious. You cannot be planning for a rally on a Friday and be giving less than 24 hours notice.
And the allegation is that you are afraid of the Labour Party and the Peter Obi factor, and that's why you have done what you did to deprive them. Perhaps, were you able to give this explanation to them? Because you made an earlier comment, and they said they were going to show you and your party that they were on the ground, and that's why you did what you did. Those are the allegations coming from the Labour Party.
Well, show me the joke. Well, they can show us virtually, but not on the ground. We are on ground. We'll see. It's February 23rd. Anyway, that's not the issue at stake. The issue here is that I expect, that they should be more serious. I spoke to my friend Peter Obi the night before. He told me he was coming to Edo State, and we offered him all the courtesies, including security and some logistics. But I didn't know they were coming for a rally, and I didn't, for me, the issue didn't even come up to me. The people who had to deal with the issue at the Sports Commission, know what to do, and they did what they had to do professionally.
On a note, this one has to do with what is happening in your party. I will have, the APC also have their problem, because the allegations of intimidation of opposition by your government has also come up from the APC, and how you have not allowed about 14 members of the House of Assembly to still be inaugurated many years after the election was conducted. But let's finalize this conversation about what is happening in your party. There are those of who hold the view that you have not reciprocated the love and perhaps the goodwill your very good friend, the governor of Rivers State, shown to you. That in fact, he helped you to come into the PDP. He helped you to win the election. But the allegation coming from his side is that you betrayed him.
First, on the issue of the legislators, I mean, we either have a country where there's rule of law, or we have a country where there's anarchy. If people decided to abstain themselves from the functions, duties they were voted to undertake, that has nothing to do with me. This issue has been dealt with by law. We've gone to all the courts of the land, including the Supreme Court, and the law is the law. It has nothing to do with Godwin Obaseki. I didn't stop them. They refused to get inaugurated, and the law took its course on them. The issue you just mentioned, I think for us as a party, we've gone through that. We are one party. We are, focused on ensuring that we take over power next year. And all the issues being raised to try and create more divisions within our party, I think we're much smarter than that. Those are non-issues as far as we are concerned. You heard the comments from the governor of Rivers State. Everybody was trying to reach out, stretch an olive branch so that we can have reconciliation and focus on rescuing Nigeria. The issue here today
regret
is
not supporting him during the primaries. You don't regret it at all.
The issue for us,
because that is the point where they thought you should have reciprocated his help for you when you were running for second term.
Sorry, Sorry, Sheung?
So I was asking if you are, for the benefit of insight now, you never regretted not supporting Nyesom Wike at the primary That's the allegation that at the point that you should have reciprocated the help he offered you when you were seeking re-election.
So we've crossed that bridge now. Our primaries are over. We have a presidential candidate. And our focus today is how to ensure that Atiku Abubakar becomes president on February 23rd next year. And by the grace of God, he will become the next president of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Governor Godwin Obaseki. It's a pleasure talking with you. I've just spent all the time. Thank you so much indeed for talking to us, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Sheila.